There are ghosts, there are spirits, there's domestic abuse, there's a small child dying, there's attempted suicide. You guessed it. It must be Christmas. Welcome to the Screen Hoppers. I am Ian, one half of your Screen Hoppers host. I'm here with my co-host, Michael Smith.
I am Michael Smith, the other half of your Screen Hoppers duo. Merry Christmas, Ian.
Merry Christmas, Michael. Are you feeling suicidal?
No.
That's wonderful.
So we are doing things different today. It is a little holiday bonus ep.
Yeah, we're taking things a little more chill today because it is Christmas.
Yeah, we are not hopping theaters, even though I think we talked about this a little bit around Thanksgiving, but going to the movies on Christmas Eve is like a family tradition. I do it almost every year.
Actually, movie hopping was the family tradition for us because we didn't celebrate Christmas when I was a kid. Mm-hmm. My family was Jewish, and my dad would take us to the movie theater on Christmas, and we would go see 2-3 movies sometimes on Christmas.
Yeah, it's one of the few things that's like open and doing its thing normally. And
it's where a lot of Jews are actually hanging out, is at Chinese restaurants and movie theaters. Yeah, that's where we go. So I love Christmas now. I have a big old new Christmas tree out in my living room.
I saw that.
I know. I was pretty excited about getting that one because my last one made me feel very sad.
Was it paltry?
It was just very bare. It was like when we bought it, like we did real trees for a really long time. And honestly, I just can't take the pine needles everywhere anymore. I like the smell, but it just wasn't worth the mess. And also our dog would like chew on it.
Yeah.
And so we did a fake one a couple of years ago and it looked nice in the box. And then we got it home and it like, you know that scene in The Fantastic Mr. Fox where they moved to the new house and it's like, do you still feel poor? And he's like, less so. That the Christmas tree made me feel poor. I would see it and I'm like, it doesn't fill me with Christmas spirit. And so, yeah, we got a new one this year and it does like colorful lights and it's pretty easy to put together and it's got a little remote control. And I just bought a pine scented candle and I know how phony it all is, but I also don't have pine needles everywhere and I have enough dog fur in my life.
Yeah, pets were the reason we stopped doing the real trees. And then we had like an okay fake one and we got a good one last year.
Oh, did you?
And yeah, and now the one that we have is quite nice and full and easy to put together.
And fills your heart with Christmas joy?
It does.
That's what they're supposed to do. So as long as it does that. So anyway, for today's episode, we're not really screen hopping. In fact, we're not even traveling to a year at all. We talked about doing a couple different things. I think a lot of pods this time of year tend to do like a Christmas movie and do their favorites or whatever. But we wanted to do something a little more Christmas spirity, and we got each other movie gifts.
We did. I know. We're not competing for votes this week. We're trying to make each other happy.
Exactly. And so I picked a movie that I thought you would want to watch for Christmas. Mm-hmm. And you picked a movie that you thought I would want to watch for Christmas.
Yes, we did.
And I'd like to think that I got you a nice gift. And so for this year, I chose It's a Wonderful Life.
And I chose for you The Muppet Christmas Carol.
Humbug. I am grateful for the gift.
As am I. It's a Wonderful Life was wonderful.
I love both of these movies so much. I was not planning on crying this much for Christmas movies. Do you cry during Muppet Christmas Carol? I know you do during It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, but I'm a well-established crier. Like, I can barely watch commercials.
So Christmas Carol gets you too?
Oh, yeah.
Which part?
So the part where it's like he's seeing Tiny Tim, or the Tiny Tim funeral or the whatever, where he finds out that Tiny Tim dies.
Come back from Tiny Tim. He wants to know, the chair is empty.
Yeah.
And Bob Cratchit has come home late. That one gets you?
Yeah, it gets me.
Okay. There are a couple parts that get me. That part 100% gets me. Actually, Miss Piggy crying and saying that the lamplight is affecting her eyes when Bob Cratchit's coming home late. That's usually when I start kind of sobbing, and then it just goes for that entire scene.
And then the other part that gets me, and it's like, it's a funny scene, but when at the very end, when he's like shouting through the window at, oh my God, I'm forgetting the bunny's name.
Oh, I can't think of the bunny's name either.
Oh my God. Bean. He's talking to Bean.
Oh my gosh.
And he's like throwing the money down at him, telling him like, go buy the prize turkey.
Yeah.
Like that's it for whatever reason. Like
Bean's in disbelief.
Yeah.
Like, because the change is so remarkable in that moment and the generosity suddenly feels so big. That scene gets me too.
That scene gets me.
And I will say that when we see young Scrooge lose his love, that also gets me.
Yeah.
This movie just like gets me like time and time. Like I cry at least 3 times on this one, and then It's a Wonderful Life. I cry for like 80% of this movie.
Yeah.
I start crying when Mr. Gower hits him on the ear, and he still has empathy for Gower.
Oh, that scene is.
And like there's blood coming down there, and he's crying, and he's like, "I know you lost someone. I know you're going through this, and like you don't mean it, and that he can see the good in Mr. Gower." And this old man, and like. We're going to jump around so much. I don't even care.
This episode's going to be...
Yeah. But what I love about It's a Wonderful Life is it is so much about like giving so much of yourself. I mean, oh my gosh, George Bailey is just like the Jesus Christ of our times. He sacrifices everything. But like you would normally see a child with a mean old boss and you'd think, oh, like they're going to like talk about how mean he is and what a bad boss he is. And like that's the story you're used to seeing. And instead, George Bailey as a child is crying because yes, he's hurting, but he also knows that Mr. Gower is hurt.
Talking about this scene.
That Mr. Gower is hurting the way he does, and he can see his pain, and he has so much empathy for this old man that's his boss that's striking him. I start crying there, and then I just cry for like 18 other times in that movie.
The young actor who plays George Bailey in that scene.
Phenomenal.
And so well cast. Like he is so believable as a young Jimmy Stewart.
I know. That kid's amazing.
But what's really great is just, that just like radical empathy that he displays in that scene through tears that are very convincing. And like, it's, that scene is really the one where you're like, oh shit, that's the ride I'm on right now.
Yeah. The movie, even almost, I mean, what are we, 80 years later now on this movie? It still catches you off guard.
Yeah.
It's my dog yelling.
He's just filled with Christmas spirit.
Is he?
That's what I'm choosing to believe.
I'll take it. So yeah, these movies are definitely tearjerkers, but as I led into the episode with, they also have like a lot of elements that you would normally attribute to like Halloween movies.
Yeah. It's a Wonderful Life is remarkably dark, like thematically. And some of the things that it touches on are very, very dark.
We just talked about it. It's about a young boy who sacrifices his hearing in one ear for another young boy's life, and it's his brother. Mm-hmm. But I think that George Bailey treats everyone like his brother, and so like I what I love about the movie is that you do have that familial relationship. But as they grow older, you see that George does not retain that sort of love and sacrifice only for blood relatives, but he actually gives so much of himself to everyone in Bedford Falls. And in giving of himself, he goes through some really rough times and a lot of darkness.
Yeah.
These two movies, we talked about this off mic, they're two sides of a similar coin, weirdly. I never really connected the story of A Christmas Carol to It's a Wonderful Life, but watching them back to back, I was like, one is the story of Scrooge having a change of heart because he's visited by a ghost, and the other one is the story of Bob Cratchit having a change of heart because he's visited by a ghost.
Yeah, and I think what's so great about the way that George Bailey is characterized is, like you said, he gives so much of himself. The first hour and a half of the movie is going through moments in his life where he has something he wants, he has a dream, circumstances around him put him in a situation where he gives that up for the betterment of other people. But every time he does it, there's not this protracted decision making. There's none of this, like, he instinctually moves to the sacrifice.
I think he does something that is remarkably human and that he illustrates it so well. And this is, I mean, Jimmy Stewart was, a performer for the ages. And he embodies George Bailey in a way that I don't know that anyone else could. But when you watch him do these things where he has to mull things over, and I think the first time you see it is when he's supposed to head off. He's heading off to college, not to Europe, because he's already given up his Europe trip because his father died. And that is a moment in his life that he cannot control. These moments come up. It is such a human moment when there's a sudden death in the family, and you have to set aside your personal plans to take care of what that is. But when he is grabbing his suitcase and he's going, and he has that moment where he knows that there's a decision to be made. He's treating it like there isn't, but he knows what the right decision is. I think we all have those moments in our lives where we know we can either numb ourselves to the decision-making process and just go forward with the thing that is selfish and right for us. And it's not even the wrong thing to do. Yeah. It's just not the selfless thing to do.
It could be easily justified. Right?
Absolutely. And no one would even blink an eye or think anything bad about you for having done it. Mm-hmm. And he has these moments where you can see the angels on his shoulders. And he always tilts into the selfless. We see him do it again later in the film when Mr. Potter offers him that whopping $20,000 a year.
Okay, so
I know you did the math.
I plugged it into the inflation calculator.
I thought about it and I was like, it's your movie, you'll do it.
It's over $300,000.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of money.
Yeah, it was a wild amount of money. And yeah, he starts with like I should talk this over with my wife, give me a day to sleep on it. And like as he's walking her out of the room, he turns around, he's like, what am I doing? Like, I don't actually need to think about this because I know where I'm going to land. And the answer is no.
Yeah. So I just got back from Vegas, and it also felt appropriate to talking about this. So let's just do It's a Wonderful Life if we want to.
Yeah, I think we're already there.
We're there. And, so George Bailey, he decides he's going to commit suicide because his $8,000 has been lost by his very absent-minded uncle.
About $125,000 into his money.
Who, weirdly doesn't age in this movie. George does. His uncle does not. Because his uncle's like nearly 60 when he's like very young in the film. But anyway.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. And he goes to throw himself from the bridge. And, Clarence, of course, comes and shows him what the world would look like without him. And Bedford Falls turns into Pottersville. And did you notice that Pottersville looks a little bit like Vegas?
It looks a little bit like Vegas. It was giving like Back to the Future.
Yeah, Back to the Future Part 2 vibes, right?
Yeah.
This is where Biff Tannen is taken over.
Yeah.
And, you no longer have that nice hand-painted sign for Bedford Falls. Now it's a neon sign, which, what city is more known for neon? They have a museum dedicated to it.
There's the girls.
You've got dancing down the streets. Yeah. You've got mostly bars. People don't live in as nice of homes. The middle class has been sucked out of this town. And then there's just a lot of what you would probably call sin. Mm-hmm. The thing I do love, though, is that George Bailey's not a particularly religious man.
No. At least not presented as such.
No. But this angel comes to show him it. But yeah, it is an interesting economic tale about what happens when you allow too much power to consolidate under a single entity. Mm-hmm. Which also leads me to something else that's happening right now.
Are you talking about Netflix?
I'm talking about Netflix, man. Yeah, like this feels like a war. Like it's so much of watching this movie just felt like connected to things that are happening right now where, Netflix is trying to buy Warner Brothers, who just had this banner year in filmmaking. And Netflix, I'll admit it's one of the few streamers that I do not subscribe to because they're very lowest common denominator. They occasionally have something on there I want. But
yeah, they put out, like the Golden Globe nominations just came out and we can talk about the Golden Globes and criticize that all we want. We don't have to.
I do not care. I care more about the LA Critics' Choice Awards than I do about the Golden Globes.
But Netflix got the most nominations. They put out a few things of quality every year, but it's this volume game where they're just putting out so much crap that eventually something's going to stick to the wall. But I think that we need movie theaters. I think so much of...
I think we need George Bailey's, man.
Yeah.
In art. That's why I want to make this about the movie. I really see Netflix as Potter. Mm-hmm. And it's where are the small artists? Where is the United Artists that's going to come up out of this and be like, hey, we don't want to work with these giant algorithm-driven, because we're talking about two movies right now, It's a Wonderful Life and Muppet Christmas Carol, that did not hit right away when they came out.
No, It's a Wonderful Life was actually a failure, a box office failure. It lost money.
Muppet Christmas Carol is barely made money, and only because the budget was nearly nothing on this movie, by the way.
Which is, when we get to the movie, we'll talk about, quite impressive.
Yeah, what they were able to accomplish on that tiny budget.
I actually think you are staging my clip here pretty well.
Oh, am I? Oh, lovely. I love when that happens.
Because George Bailey tells us a little bit about why we need George Bailey's and why we can't all just fold to the Netflixes of the world.
Just a minute now. Hold on, Mr. Potter. Just a minute. Now, you're right when you say my father was no businessman. I know that. Why he ever started this cheap penny ante building and loan, I'll never know. But neither you nor anybody else can say anything against his character because his whole life why, in the 25 years since he and Uncle Billy started this thing, he never once thought of himself. Isn't that right, Uncle Billy? He didn't save enough money to send Harry to school, let alone me. But he did help a few people get out of your slums, Mr. Potter. And what's wrong with that? Well, here, you're all businessmen here. Doesn't make them better citizens? Doesn't make them better customers? You said that what'd you say just a minute ago? They had to wait and save their money before they even thought of a decent home? Wait for what? Until their children grow up and leave them? Until they're old and broken down? Do you know how long it takes a working man to save $5,000? Just remember this, Mr. Potter, that this rabble you're talking about, they do most of the working and paying and living and dying in this community. Well, is it too much to have them work and pay and live and die in a couple of decent rooms and a bath? Anyway, my father didn't think so. People were human beings to him, but to you, a warped, frustrated old man, they're cattle. Well, in my book, he died a much richer man than you'll ever be.
I'm not interested.
It is an argument against the corporate consolidation that we're seeing. Like, this is a small microcosm of it, but Potter represents consolidation. He's buying up the entire town, and the only thing he hasn't been able to buy in Bedford Falls is the Bailey building and loan, and they are protecting the middle class from that. There aren't too many communities that look like that, and there really aren't too many industries that look like that anymore either, because it's not really possible to pull off that feat. And, part of the problem is that the offers that the Potters of the world give to people who start up something smart or interesting or creative, they're too much to pass up.
Yeah.
And Bailey's tempted with that as well at one point.
Yeah, I mean, there are multiple instances. There's a scene where it's the Great Depression, the run on the banks, and the building and loan is about to go insolvent.
Yeah.
And Potter swoops in. It's like, hey, I'll buy all of your loans. I'll give you, or your
gives them
deposits.
50 cents on the dollar.
50 cents on the dollar. That's better than nothing.
I actually want to pause on that scene because that's a scene that that just makes this movie a little different. Because I think the character's name is Tom, but he's the one who wants the $242 out of the bank.
Yeah.
And George is like, listen, I'm going to give you the money out of my pocket. And actually Mary's a part of this too. Like, she's such a great support character for George. Like, she's this incredible partner to him. But they take their money for their honeymoon. They were just about to go and have champagne and live it up in Europe. And it's time to save the bank because of this run. And he says, no, come on. Like, you can take a little less now. Like, you don't need all of your deposit right now. And he goes, I want $242. I want my deposit. And George gives him the money. And the movie and George and Mary never paint him as a villain.
No.
You never hear another word about it. He is so easy to set up as a foil, as somebody that would keep coming back or that would have been some kind of support. But no, he's still a part of the community. Like, they don't eject him. They don't villainize him. They don't make it this black and white. In fact, one of the things, again, that I love that this film does, and I don't know if you noticed, Potter is one of the only characters, him and his cronies, that only dress in black and white.
Oh, yeah, no, I didn't.
Potter always wears the exact same outfit for the entire film. He never changes, and it is a stark black jacket, white piping over a white shirt and a black tie. Everyone else has shades of gray at times, particularly when George is feeling more generous. He's almost always dressed in like lighter grays. And so there's this great thing where you can see that, like, he can see the world both in a longer view, but also in greater shades of gray than a lot of the other characters can. And so he's able to look at that man who's asking for his deposit back and not villainize him and not see him as evil and have the film not do the same thing. And it's one of those things that makes this film really last for me.
Yeah, it's because instead of villainizing the guy who wants his $242, what they do is they then go to a sequence of a bunch of people settling for $20.
$17.50.
And then there's the woman who comes in. And it's like, okay, how much do you need?
I cried at that scene.
And she's
that
like, I think I can make $17.50 work. And he like reaches across and I think he like kisses her.
He gives her a big kiss on the cheek.
And that scene gets me because it's about people and rallying as a community and being the anti-Potter of the world. And so you have, that scene is incredible. You have the one where he's offered the big job, but it's going to result in the building and loan then being consolidated into Potter's conglomerate. He turns it down.
He almost takes it too. That
almost does,
I know how the movie ends, and I still watch that scene, and I always think, like, don't you want him to take it a little bit?
I would take it.
Isn't there this part of you that wants to see George just have that, though? Like, that George finally deserves to have something.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that's great about that scene is, like, the first time you see George come back and save the bank, you say, you know what? good for you, George. I believe in you. I think you're doing the right thing. Yes, I know you're giving up something, right? But the second temptation that he faces from Potter, you're like, come on, George.
Yeah.
Like you want him to do it, and when he doesn't, you're almost mad at him. You're like, why are you doing this to yourself? You're making yourself so frustrated and so angry, and it takes you on that journey.
Yeah. And then the other thing that the movie does that I think is really incredible and speaks to George's character is when he's on the bridge and he's going to jump, and Clarence comes to save him. The way that he saves George speaks so perfectly to George's character, which is Clarence jumps into the water instead and pretends to drown because he knows that George will save him.
George's instinct is self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
Because he's built up a life of self-sacrifice for so long, and like his history tells him. Speaking of Clarence though, there is, and this runs through Christmas Carol too, and we'll talk a little bit about it, but I think it's so interesting that you have these two movies that are, one that's more explicitly Christmas, but It's a Wonderful Life. I mean, the climax of the film, the denouement, all takes place during Christmas. And the big scene that also makes me cry when they bring all the money. Jesus Christ, that scene kills me. But they're based very much in sort of Christian ethics and Christian religion. But Clarence is a human being that's working for his angel wings that lives in space.
Yeah.
And does magic. That's not Christian.
Okay.
There's nothing in the Bible about that.
Yeah.
That even supports the possibility that the afterlife looks like that is what's going on. And there's also something really wonderful that's said super early in the movie, and it's about how Clarence is not very smart, but he has a lot of faith. And I thought that was interesting because as a person who's an angel, second class, S2, they don't say what he has faith in.
Yeah.
Because when you hear that someone has faith, the natural assumption is, well, they have faith in God. They have faith in the heavens. They have faith in, the goodness of Jesus Christ. Clarence has faith in man.
Yeah, he has faith in the goodness of people.
He has faith in the goodness of people. And I think that there's something really remarkable about starting the movie, not just with a character like George Bailey, but with a character like Clarence, who is a little bit dopey.
But has faith that there are George Baileys in the world.
Has faith that there's George Bailey within anyone. Like, I don't think it's even just that there are George Baileys, but that he believes that anyone could be a George Bailey. And that's sort of what I think makes him dopey. Because when you meet him, he doesn't seem dumb.
No.
And like when he's on Earth, he's kind of silly. Like he's a little cartoonish.
A little clumsy.
And right? Cartoonish, yeah. Like he reminds me very much of like, a seven dwarf from like, Snow White, sort of. I mean, I don't know the actor's name. I didn't do the background on this, but he's got kind of a rounder nose and big bushy eyebrows, and like, the casting is really fantastic. But he lives with this absolute faith in humanity that is kind of like, again, it's just really like, I don't know, it's inspiring. Like it is rare that movies make me feel that way, but it is nice that they still exist. I wish we still knew a way to make them like that.
Yeah, and I think like that's what's so great is the end of the movie takes place at Christmas. It's considered one of the most, if not the best Christmas movie of all time.
I think it's my favorite.
It's not that Christmassy in terms of like, there's not a Santa, there's not trees and ornaments and garland everywhere, but it embodies like the Christmas spirit, I think, better than almost anything out there.
Yeah, it's that spirit of generosity, but it's a generosity that specifically connects to like the support of a thriving middle class. There's a strong economic message that Capra uses and connects to generosity. And he says this is where generosity really lives, is, among a thriving middle class that helps each other in this country, and that this is what is going to make this country strong. This is what's going to make life worth living for so many people. I mean, there's a cynical take on this movie, like as I watch it, that does make it feel a little bit like a sedative also, which is like be happy in your mediocrity, be happy in your middleishness. But at the same time, we live in a community right now where we all want to be a Kardashian. Like, look at the TV shows that are number one. Like, go on Hulu right now, right? What is it? The Secret Lives of Mormon Housewives, or
right?
But it is an absolute fascination and obsession with the wealthy, with becoming wealthy, and not just a little wealthy, by the way. Extraordinarily, ridiculously wealthy. We're carrying a $100,000 handbag.
Yeah, it's ostentatiously wealthy. It's a showy wealth.
Yeah, exactly. Where it's not even just about having wealth so that you can elevate your community, but it's about having a wealth so that you can drive a car that costs more than your neighbor's house.
Mm-hmm.
And this movie makes an argument for a very different vision of the United States, of our culture. And I think it's one that we probably all could stand to listen to. But unfortunately, black and white movies aren't often watched. Movies with this aesthetic are really difficult for audiences.
Well, and like to get back into some of the film criticism, this is a very weirdly structured movie.
Yeah.
Like it does not follow like a 3-act structure at all.
It would almost play as like a television series now.
There's an
episodic.
hour and a half of this 2-hour movie that is preamble, basically. And but then it hits, and it hits really well.
Yeah. So
but yeah, I agree. I think this is a movie that, the word timeless gets thrown around a lot, but it's 79 years old, and just it feels so fresh, so relevant. And I'd watch Jimmy Stewart do anything, but I'm really glad that you gifted me the opportunity to watch him do this.
Have you ever seen Dana Carvey do his Jimmy Stewart impression of Katharine Hepburn giving him a blowjob?
Why do you have to ruin this?
Because it's funny. If you haven't seen it, you should. But just look at it. So let's pivot on Jimmy Stewart getting a blowjob from Katharine Hepburn to
the Muppets.
The Muppets. So did you know that I'm a Muppet stan? I think I've mentioned it on the show before.
Yeah, I know that you like the Muppets.
That I like the Muppets, or
you are a Muppet stan.
I'm a Muppet fanatic. Like I grew up very much in a Muppety world.
Bit of a Muppet yourself.
Yeah, like when the Jason Segel one came out in 2011, I was a little bit nervous because I'm not much of a Segel fan. But when I saw the plot was about like somebody who's a human that wants to be a Muppet and somebody who's a Muppet that wants to be a Muppet, I was like, dude, this movie is speaking directly to my soul. Muppet Christmas Carol, we mentioned, was not a huge hit when it came out. I think that this is probably one of those movies, from what I read, that became a hit because of VHS.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it grew. I definitely did not see it in theaters when I was a kid. We wore out that VHS. I've no doubt that my sister still has that plastic case with the movie in it. We watched that movie so much, and not just around Christmas either.
Disney, the white plastic.
The white plastic. My sister kept all of
yeah.
those. Yeah, she has like 20, 30, maybe 40 of them. I have no idea. She was getting her VHS player repaired every year for a while, and I think that the repair shop finally closed down in her town. But yeah, we watched this movie more times than I can count. In fact, when you gifted it to me as a movie to watch, I think I told you I had already watched it.
You watched it like a couple days earlier.
Because we watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles the day before Thanksgiving. And then once we had eaten, we're like, it is now Christmas movie time.
Yeah.
And I think it was either the first or second Christmas movie we watched, because we did decide that weekend that we were going to not Christmas movie, not Christmas movie, Christmas movie. So we were just alternating. And I was like, that one is always, always, always on the list. This movie, so as I mentioned, had a pretty meager budget. And this was the first Muppet movie made after Jim Henson's death. So it's dedicated to him and another of the puppeteers who died. And I did not look into, and I don't know if you did, Richard Hunt, who died in 1992. And the film was dedicated to both of them. Which you sort of expect normally that after the death of a great genius like Jim Henson, a creator of something, that the art that comes out afterwards is going to be lesser. That's just generally the feeling. I mean, if you've ever read the Dune books, that is what happens.
Yeah.
And this movie bucks an incredible trend. I think for my money, between the original Muppet movie, The Great Muppet Caper, Muppets Take Manhattan, this is my favorite of those four.
Yeah, it's my favorite Muppet movie.
Of all of them?
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So I actually think that the Jason Segel one is actually my favorite. It does some pretty wonderful things that I love. But of the original 4 Muppet movies, this one is my absolute favorite. And this one breaks the Muppet formula in a lot of really, really interesting ways. First and foremost, in that the Muppets do not play themselves.
Yeah. It's an adaptation where the Muppets are just cast in roles.
Yeah. And normally, like, Kermit the Frog is Kermit the Frog and Miss Piggy is Miss Piggy. And, like, those are the characters that are now, within this world. The original Muppet movies, they're traveling to Hollywood to become famous. The Muppets take Manhattan. They all graduate from college. And they're going to go put their college show that they wrote on Broadway. Have you seen that one?
Yeah.
It's great. they're all so good. But this one, they decide that they're going to do the Dickens classic, A Christmas Carol, and they're going to do it, like, dead-ass straight.
Yeah. No, it's not a parody. It is just
Gonzo's lines almost like something like 80% of his lines are directly
They're lifted
from
from the text.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not doing Gonzo. He's doing Dickens, and he is playing Charles Dickens.
Yeah. And the casting is so good because they picked the right Muppet for the right character. And like how was that possible? Like, how did things line up in such a like serendipitous way that these Muppets that were pre-existing and have a whole history could be put into this novella from the 1800s so seamlessly?
I mean, it is quite a feat. So I don't know how they went the direction they went. Like, there was a lot of discussion about it, but I do know that they wanted to be so true to Dickens's prose, because originally the ghosts were going to be, I think it was Kermit, Miss Piggy, and Gonzo to play the 3 ghosts. And ultimately decided, no, they wanted to have more serious ghosts to deliver more gravitas than those 3 characters would be able to, and to instead cast them in the roles of other characters from the movie. And honestly, who better to play Bob Cratchit than either Jimmy Stewart or Kermit the Frog?
Right.
Like, they both carry a very similar energy.
Mm-hmm.
And so instead they created these kind of, like, that initial ghost, the Ghost of Christmas Past, that Muppet kind of scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
It's fuck.
When I was a kid,
Yeah.
that Muppet scared me. The soft glowing face that is a little too realistic, the flowing cloth all behind the glow. Yeah, like, that Muppet for sure was like kind of haunted my nightmares when I was a kid. And that's not supposed to be the scary one, but there's something about looking into your past that I like, that this Muppet both looks hopeful and young, but also just a little otherworldly. And
there's like an uncanny valley thing happening.
Yeah.
With
it almost looks too real.
Yeah.
But also incredibly unreal.
Yeah, it's incredibly effective.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of talk in this movie as well about Michael Caine deciding that he was going to play this as straight as possible. I think his exact quote
Something
was...
about like the Royal Shakespeare Company, right?
He said he's going to perform as though he were playing for the Royal Shakespeare Company, vowing, "I will never wink. I will never do anything Muppety."
I like Muppety as a word.
I do like Muppety as a word as well. People talk about this a lot, and this being why the movie was successful. And I think it's what makes the movie have the longevity that it does, but I don't think that's why it was successful, because the reason it was successful was people of your and my age watched it on VHS when we were kids, and we were like, oh, I love this movie. Like, what was the thing you loved about this movie when you were a kid? 'Cause I remember, like...
So I think that A Christmas Carol, or The Christmas Carol, is a great story. Like, like they started with an excellent story, and then they did a really solid adaptation. Like, they hit the beats right. It gets you emotionally where it's supposed to get you emotionally. It's an easy watch.
But how old were you when you watched it?
Probably like 5.
Okay, but like, do you remember like what made you like this movie though?
I don't specifically. Like, for me, it was just more like I attached to it in a way that was very like natural and almost physical. Like I just devoured the movie, loved the movie, wanted to watch the movie. I was one of those kids that was like a little serious, like, where they would use euphemisms like an old soul to say weird. Um, and this movie is like it's a Muppet movie, but it's a serious movie. And for me, I think it was really like I think I appreciated the values that it was giving.
All right.
Like, yeah.
I mean, I was often accused of being an old soul, but I will tell you what I remember liking about this movie and liking about this movie more than the other Muppet movies was Rizzo was given a bigger platform.
Oh,
Rizzo's fucking funny.
he's hilarious.
He is a really funny character. And for me, this was a way into a really serious story.
Mm-hmm.
And Rizzo, like weirdly, brilliantly, is the only character playing himself, which feels like a weird thing to say because there is no himself.
Yeah.
But Rizzo's playing Rizzo the Rat.
Mm-hmm.
And Rizzo the Rat had not really had big roles in any of the other movies. In fact, the only one I can really think of is Muppet Takes Manhattan. He's working in the Greek restaurant in that one. And he's pretty funny in that one. And those are some of my favorite scenes. But I feel like this was the movie that like elevated Rizzo. Like Brian Henson came in and was like, let's do more Rizzo, which was a character that was very lightly used in some of the other movies. And he's so funny as this sort of like wisecracking foil to Charles Dickens, Gonzo
as Charles
Dickens. There's so many looks between them. There's so many cracking wise between the two of them. And this was the movie. Like that was what made me love this movie as a kid.
Yeah.
As an adult, all of that other stuff now is why I still come back to it and really enjoy it. I still think Rizzo is very funny. And like those are the parts I look forward to. That was my way into this one.
Funny.
Because I didn't know who Michael Caine was when I was.
No, I didn't know who Michael Caine was.
This movie came out when I was like 9 years old.
Yeah. I was 3 when it came out, so if I was watching on VHS, that would put me at like 4 or 5. Like, it's so accessible. Like, even watching it now, like, it's just such an accessible movie. And yeah, I think Rizzo does part of that because he's a stand-in for the audience. He reacts and you share his reactions. But it also is just like, it's economic storytelling. Like,
yeah, phenomenal, yeah.
And then like, it's a musical, and it is just banger after banger.
Marley and Marley, I cannot get it out of my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I will just say, for those of you out there, like check out the extended edition on Spotify or Apple Music because there are some additional songs, including one in which Honeydew and Beaker sing a little song after they visit or when they visit Scrooge to convince him to give to the charity that is well worth your time. Also, the song "When Love Is Gone." I was surprised when I watched it; it like wasn't in the movie this time, and I guess it was originally cut from the theatrical release.
Oh, okay.
It was considered to be too melancholy, and there are no Muppets in it. It's 2 actors, the 2 actors playing the young Belle and then the young Scrooge, singing to each other when. Effectively, she decides that like this relationship is over. Like you're more interested in accruing wealth than you are in having human relationships. And it's kind of a beautiful song also that unfortunately did get cut from that release. But yeah, you can listen to all those songs now and then watch the extended edition. Also, note for those of you who are interested, watching it with the commentary on, the commentary is by Gonzo and Rizzo. Not Brian Henson, not Frank Oz. So they're there. So worth a second watch, at least for that reason. But yeah, it's an interesting production for a lot of reasons. It's kind of a hard movie. I think Muppet movies are a little hard to take apart.
Yeah.
Like you can sort of say what you like about them, but like I couldn't tell you why I like the Muppets as much as I do.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the Muppets are very hard to explain, right? Like, why are the Muppets as big as they are? Why are they as beloved as they are? Your guess is as good as mine. But they're really great. And there's something about the Muppets. They are felt puppets, right? Like there's nothing about them that is hyper realistic. There's no fooling you into thinking they are something that they are not. They are puppets. And yet they're so fleshed out and full of life and personality and like a weird amount of depth where you just like you feel like you said, like, oh yeah, it makes sense that Kermit the Frog would play Bob Cratchit.
It's a perfectly cast role, but
it's a character within a character, and it like
you love when actors are doing 2 things.
I do. But the fact that like Kermit the Frog exists in our like cultural lexicon in a way that is possible is is wonderfully bizarre.
The journey toward becoming a character that was able to do that is also such a long and bizarre journey. There's a great documentary on Jim Henson as well on Disney Plus that is worth watching to understand a little bit more behind like how and why they did this. But it does it feels like this movie was sort of a pinnacle where like all this work had been done in order to build up to a place where this was able to work.
Mm-hmm.
And the funny thing is, we talk about him playing Bob Cratchit being perfect. Gonzo playing Charles Dickens is not perfect. That's bizarre.
Yeah. Makes no sense at all.
No, that like of all the characters you would choose to play Charles Dickens, Deadly. I probably would have chosen Deadly, but they chose Gonzo.
Because like it's obvious that it was because it makes no sense. It's like it's a joke. But then it doesn't play like one.
Well, it doesn't play like one because Gonzo's character, I think Gonzo's always known as sort of the weirdo, the strange one, because that's what they call him. But he's actually the most deadpan Muppet of them all. He is the one that is more lost in the fantasy of being a Muppet than probably anyone else because he doesn't understand that what he's doing is weird. He in a way is a way into the Muppets. Mm-hmm. If you think about it, because he likes jumping off of buildings, he likes getting hurt. Like all the things he does are antithetical to what a living thing would like to do. And he thinks other people are weird for thinking that he's weird.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what going on the journey with a Muppet is like when you are watching, Honeydew and Beaker come and ask for donations in Dickensian England from Michael Caine, that is bizarre. But Gonzo gives us a way into saying, well, no, it's bizarre to think that's bizarre.
Yeah.
Like just be here for it and enjoy this ride in it. And that ask is done so expertly that like it's why the Muppets will work for me forever. I'm said it's kind of impossible to dissect, but I'm starting to dissect it a little bit. I think the other thing is that they're such iconoclasts that are so sincere.
Yeah.
And taking a sincere iconoclast and creating a character that's able to do that is so challenging. And then doing that with, what's more iconic than Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol? It also makes the story sort of beautiful in that way. And that like we can tear it down, we can be silly about it, we can be meta about it, but there's something still at the heart of it that's really beautiful, not unlike It's a Wonderful Life. And it allows you to strip away some of the unnecessary components of the story and find the beautiful thing at the heart of it, which is about human generosity and about the ability of people to change, even if it is about effectively a billionaire changing his heart about how to treat people, which does lead me into my clip, which I do think is like maybe the cruelest part of the movie, even though it's actually at the happiest moment.
Oh, boy.
So here you are.
Mr. Scrooge,
You, sir, were not at work this morning as we had discussed.
but Mr. Scrooge, sir, we did discuss it. It's Christmas Day. You gave me the day off.
I, Ebenezer Scrooge? Would I do a thing like that?
No, yes, but you did.
Bob Cratchit, I've had my fill of this.
And I have had my fill of you, Mr. Scrooge.
Emily, Mr.
And therefore, Bob Cratchit.
And therefore, you can leave this house at once.
And therefore, I'm about to raise your salary.
Oh, and I am about to raise you right off the pavement and onto...
Pardon?
Yes, Bob. Raise your salary and pay your mortgage on this house.
Please, sir, come inside. Yes, yes.
Bob Cratchit, would you and your family care to join us for a little turkey dinner on this fine Christmas day? Merry Christmas.
That is a psychotic thing to do to Bob Cratchit. Like that is punking someone. This how old is Ebenezer Scrooge in this? Like he's
in his like 60s probably.
I assume he's like late 50s, early 60s. That's sort of been my assumption about the age of this character. He has spent 60 years being famously cruel, selfish, and mean to everyone around him. We just watched the day before Christmas Eve, how he treated everyone. He threatened them with unemployment twice.
The whole town sang a song
about how cruel he is. He is famously cruel and that they have written a song to tell you about it. He shows up on Christmas morning to threaten his head bookkeeper.
He says it himself. He's like, does giving you a day off seem like something I would do?
And the answer is like definitively no, ever would have done that. And I chose this scene because I think it gives you a little bit of each of the characters, and it actually gives you the best Miss Piggy moment too, because Miss Piggy isn't really, I think if I have any criticisms of it, is some of the characters aren't really permitted to be themselves in the way that I like seeing them. I know that like Fozzie gets
too.
He gets short shrifted a little bit in the movie because he's Fozziewig, but for like a brief few moments. And also, I'm just going to put it out there, I never want to see a female Fozzie ever again. That is the most upsetting Muppet. I do not like female Fozzie. I'm sorry.
I think Fozzie is really well cast as Fozziewig. Like, I think it makes a lot of sense. I think like making it a rubber chicken factory is freaking hilarious. But it's a short scene.
It is a very short scene. And Miss Piggy is given, she's actually given a lot of emotional work to do about her son passing. Again, these are Christmas movies about ghosts and dead children. And she's given at least a brief moment to be, because she's always very protective of her Kermie. And she finally gets a chance to do that by offering to lift Michael Caine off the pavement. But I also chose it because I do think it sort of highlights the difference between these two movies for me, which is, and again, we mentioned this off mic before, this is a fairy tale. Mm-hmm. The idea of Potter having a change of heart to me is too fantastical for me to truly go on this journey. I can enjoy the movie, but without actually walking away with like a lesson about being good to your fellow man and how you can improve your community, and instead just sort of have the feel-good journey of the Muppets. And it's why I love It's a Wonderful Life so much, is because there is something in It's a Wonderful Life that I'm not a church-going individual, but I do think that there's a moral lesson in there that is applicable and actionable for any person who watches that movie. And I think that movie has a capacity to actually make the world a better place, which is
when you watch It's a Wonderful Life, what you walk away with is be a George Bailey. That there's a George Bailey, like you said, there's a George Bailey in all of us. Even if you can't do it to the degree that he does, find the moments in your life where you can make, like what would George Bailey do moments of your life, right?
Yeah, and I think that that's really what I walked away with, like watching these two movies with, was like, what would George Bailey do? Is there a way that like I can be that person in moments of my life to those around me? And is that, you mentioned that Christmas doesn't happen to the last 30 minutes, right? But is that the Christmas spirit really? And both movies talk about a message of bringing that sort of, whether you want to call it the Christmas spirit or just the human spirit, but into your day-to-day life outside of just Christmas.
Watching these two movies together, like you said, they really are like two sides of the same coin. What A Christmas Carol does in its fantasticalness, right? Like it is a fairy tale, is if Scrooge has the capacity to change, then you do have the capacity to bring out your inner George Bailey.
Yeah.
Right.
That's actually a good way of looking at it like that. Because I see it and I'm like, well, if Scrooge has the capacity to change, a lot of people can look at that and say, well, I'm not Scrooge, so I don't have to worry about, I've never been that bad. And these two movies in conversation, though, I think to your point, it's kind of nice. And so, we're gonna get a little preachy on today's episode and be like, what would George Bailey do? It's a nice thing to walk away with. And I think if you haven't watched It's a Wonderful Life in a long time, like I hadn't until last year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a movie that you take for granted, right? Because now we don't have this, but it used to be like, it was on TV ad nauseum every year, every Christmas. It was always there. But really like sitting down and giving it the 2 hours, I love that movie.
I do too.
I love it so much.
So you want MVP this week?
I mean, we can. I think
I want to.
It's really easy. I don't think there's much of a contest.
You don't think so?
I do.
I think it's a 3-way tie.
Really?
Yeah.
Because
maybe even a 4-way tie.
Really? Because I think it's Jimmy Stewart running away.
Do you think it's Jimmy Stewart running away?
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to Jimmy Stewart too, but I think it could go to Capra. Mm-hmm. I think it could go to Brian Henson for keeping the spirit of the Muppets alive, and I think that there's something.
I think there is something really poetic about the fact that it was Jim Henson's son at the helm of this.
Yeah.
With the timing, right?
Yeah.
Like there's this like legacy element to it that's really nice,
and that he was able to maintain again, like.
Well, and in some ways we've said like improve upon.
There's something impossible about A Muppet Christmas Carol that's really beautiful. Just its mere existence, its quality, the tone of it. But I agree, Jimmy Stewart is the reason that you can watch a movie that is structured so strangely.
Yeah.
the reason that you can watch a movie about someone who is so good-spirited and not have it feel saccharine sweet.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll admit, like, It's a Wonderful Life, I think it's a terrible title. I think it's a horrible, horrible title, and I think they need to scrap it and retitle. And I'm serious, like for like our generation, because the title is so saccharine that I think turns people off to coming back and watching it, because all you remember are the last 10 minutes of the movie.
I mean, a lot of people remember nothing but, every time a bell rings, an angel gets its wings.
Which is probably the least interesting and important part of the movie. Like, I don't really care about that part at all.
No.
It's like a catchy, that's the hook.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if that's the pop song, that's the hook to it, but that's not the substance of the film at all. And so, yeah, I don't know that this movie would be nearly as watchable if Jimmy Stewart were not.
Yeah, because it's Muppet Christmas Carol, very easy watch. Like, it is less than 90 minutes.
Yeah, it's like an 87.
By virtue of having 3 ghosts kind of come through in sequence. Like, the
structure is easy. You can even skip the ghost you don't like if you don't want to.
Yeah,
if you want to.
It's such an easy structure. Whereas It's a Wonderful Life, it does ask some patience of the audience. But it doesn't feel like a chore because Jimmy Stewart is so freaking delightful to watch every second he is on the screen.
I mean, I cannot think of a sequence in the movie that I find to test my patience.
No, and that speaks to how great the movie is that any other movie structured in the way that this movie is structured would be me here yelling at you for giving me something with a ridiculous runtime. But
what is it? It's 212 or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. Which, again, is the average of our top 100 movies. You yell at me for this frequently, but this is not my fault.
But what I'm saying is, like, this movie that does not follow much of a structure, that's 3/4 preamble, like, but it's such important preamble, and it gives us so much. Yeah, I have no complaints. It's damn near perfect.
Yeah, I think this movie is like up there with Jaws for me.
Yeah.
It probably is a perfect movie. There's not a scene that I don't love about the movie. Every scene is so beautifully shot and so beautifully acted. I mean, we're giving a lot of credit to James Stewart, but honestly, like Donna Reed.
Is that Mary?
Mary is.
Yeah. Well, and that's
incredible. Lionel Barrymore as Mr. Potter he's also just great.
You learn so much about the characters and their relationship, so that when he jumps out of the car as they're like going to their honeymoon to save the bank, and then she's like, "Hey, we have this $2,000 that we were going to spend on our honeymoon, but we need to save the community instead." You don't question it for a second.
Yeah, and yeah, it really is. The other thing these two movies actually have in common that I want to just mention that I think is really interesting is they both take place in, I'm trying to think of the best way of describing it, but like model cities. And when I say model cities, I don't mean like perfect cities. I mean like they're like small models of a city.
Mm-hmm.
So like that's London, but that's not London. In Christmas Carol, there's like the little building that belongs to Bob Cratchit. There's the little building that's the bank and loan. But it feels like you've actually brought that camera down. In Beetlejuice, Alec Baldwin's character, like you have this model of the town, and they love this town, and it's this microcosm.
Yeah, it's a stand-in for
exactly. Yeah. And when you're introduced to Bedford Falls, in fact, the initial sequence when it goes from space down to Bedford, there's martinis, there's the building alone, there's the old broken down house. And it is as though Capra and Brian Henson built these little model towns, took these little characters and put them in, and then were able to play out these dramas within it to illustrate these larger points. And it really does have, I mean, we're talking about the Muppets as puppets, but both sort of have this element of sort of puppetry and caricature that are standing in for very real, very strong emotions that they deliver. And I think they deliver them in a universal way because they keep things in a sort of model town, model space. It's something that I thought was remarkable. It also makes the turn to Pottersville feel that much more dramatic in that the model has now changed. We flipped the board and now it's become different. It was shocking to me how much these movies had in common. Yeah,
no, total accident.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
well, I didn't pick my movie based on what you were picking for me.
Yeah.
I picked my movie based on what I thought you would love for Christmas.
Yeah. And same. I had picked Muppet Christmas Carol long before I knew that you were gifting me It's a Wonderful Life.
Well, I hope you had a wonderful time with it.
I absolutely did.
Well, I think that's it for Christmas, man. We're going to come back after the New Year, right? We're going to take a little break. We've done over 20 episodes that we've put out this year. So
I know. We're like a real podcast.
I know. When we come back, what do you think? You want to do a year wrap-up episode?
I think that we should.
Okay. Are we going to do a year of our year wrap-up, or are we going to do the 2025 wrap-up?
I think we should do like a 2025 retrospective. We'll be like in the heart of award season.
Oof. Are you ready for award season?
No, I'm going to have some work to do.
You haven't caught Begonia yet,
I
have
haven't,
you?
no.
Okay.
Have you?
No, I was
yeah.
going to rent it before we went to Vegas, and we just didn't have enough time.
Yeah, so, but I think, we'll have a little bit of time off here. I'll use that time to catch up, and we can talk about the hits and misses of the year, the state of cinema. We talked about it a little bit today.
Yep.
When I was doing like film criticism in earnest, that was always my favorite thing to do. Was the year wrap up. Yeah, the top 10 list kind of deal.
It's tough because like you see as much as you can, but I always feel weird about doing my wrap up because I'm like, okay, I haven't seen Hamnet.
Yeah.
I haven't seen Hedda. I haven't seen Kiss of the Spider-Woman, but I have seen a lot of movies. I think my movie this year right now of the ones I saw, I think Weapons is still my standout.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm there with
One Battle is like
Weapons,
right. It's like Weapons and
Battle. It's a popcorn movie, but I really loved F1.
That's hitting Apple TV in like 2 days.
Yeah.
How's your battery, by the way? I'm getting
It's good, 47.
Oh, I'm dying apparently. Oh, that's weird. Let's wrap it up because I'm about to go.
All right,
about to go iPhone.
Thank you all for joining us in this special little visit to Christmas Town. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have not watched these movies recently, I think they're the types of movies most of you have probably seen. Revisit them again. They will put you in the Christmas spirit if you're not already there. Follow us online. We are at The Screen Hoppers on Instagram. I am at Michael_upleft. Ian, where are you at?
Ian_upleft.
And then check us out at upleftmedia.com. See everything going on there. And again, if we're talking about the holiday spirit and generosity, you recently did some work for a really great nonprofit where, I believe, is that material, I know it's on our social. Is it on the Upleft Media website as well?
Not yet, but it is on my LinkedIn. It's on my Instagram. Yeah. So, yeah, you can find that there. And then definitely, if you are feeling the holiday spirit, they are still raising money. So you can give to Haven for Birth, Sacramento community doulas that do incredible work for BIPOC women, underrepresented communities. And their numbers are amazing. They're saving lives. They're pretty incredible. So we are really proud to partner with them.
Absolutely. Well, until then, hope you all have a happy holiday.
Happy holidays from the Screen Hoppers. The Screen Hoppers is an Upleft Media production, written by Ian Tarter and Michael Smith. Produced, sound engineered, and edited by Ian Tarter, with special thanks to Rosie Page.